In the bustling world of technology and connectivity, one trend stands out, gaining momentum and making waves in the fabric of modern communication. This trend, my dear listeners, is none other than podcasting.
Rogan actually is where I heard that weak men create rough times.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's where I heard that originally. Well, I went to college. Here's the crazy thing, is after college, it's the same thing.
Really?
The thing that freaked me out the most is we are at the crisis period right now.
What do you take? What do you got? You got to take something.
I think it's harder to gain weight, as in muscle, in the gym, if coming from a skinny person to someone who has fat on their body.
When you were born, you are destined to work a 9 to 5. For you, like...
Pause.
What?
Chill, pause.
Was there... He said to me that, like, growing up in my generation would scare him to death. We had a 7% retention rate. Hey guys, welcome back to Just Yakkin. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today is a very special episode. We have my cousin Jacob on, and we have our background manager, Kapil. So I'm Justin.
I'm Jared.
I'm Jake.
And I'm Kapil.
And sadly, we do not have a camera on Kapil, but he is the means of this show right now. If it wasn't for him, this would not be happening. So thank you so much, Kapil. And thank you guys so much for tuning in, because this is my dream. I've always wanted to do this, and it's real now. So, but I want to start off. Jake, tell a little bit about yourself.
Well, I went to college. I am working now as a physical therapist assistant, and I'm currently living with my cousins right now out of convenience and because they're pretty cool. And that's pretty much it. I'm big into the gym, and yeah, I just like the gym. That's pretty much it.
That's like a little bit of his personality.
Yeah. To give
I say a little, but
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
you want to call out with like JP?
Yeah, you want to call any of your
Nah,
Instagrams?
it's okay.
No?
Yeah, all good.
He's anonymous for now, but just wait till later. He'll break the shine.
Back in the years, years ago.
Well, since Jake didn't really say it, I want to say it. He was always a role model for me growing up, because obviously he was so much older than me, and I used to go to his school because he played for a different high school team than I did, but I was also extremely younger than him, and I'd always look at him and be like, "Wow, who is that kid?" And that's what everybody would say for my school, and be like, "That's my cousin." So he's very inspirational to me, especially in the gym. Like, I just look up to him. Both of these people that are sitting next to me today, they've both got me inspired enough to go into the gym and try to better myself. But I'd definitely say, because it started with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
You guys were like, "Hey, let's go to our hometown gym."
Well, Jake started way back when, and then I just followed because of my friend group, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get into the gym. And then Jake was already ahead of me though.
Yeah.
Jake, you started like.
I
7th
started
grade.
in like 10th grade. Seriously, in 10th grade. I started a little bit before that, but 10th grade was where I started taking it serious.
Mm-hmm.
And before then, it was like something that I just kind of forced myself to do. But eventually, like, it gets to a point where it just becomes not to be that typical gym bro, but like your lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And it really changes your life. Like, yeah, there's a lot of determination involved with the gym, but there's a lot that carries over to the job that you're doing or the relationships that you're having. A lot of the determination. So
That's awesome. Yeah, no, and the gym changes people completely. I think everybody should go to the gym, because whether it's to better yourself or just to get your mind off of things, and I think that's like the perfect thing to do. And I mean, we've had it rough this last couple weeks, so going to the gym definitely distracts us from what's going on and everything like that. But go over like your situation with your story. Like, what do you start from, where you're at now, and what do you hope to be with the gym?
oh, with the gym, I started off because I was really skinny in high school, and I had a lot of comments about it. So that's when I first started going to the gym, and that's where I started like really making a change. But going through, I've had a few injuries, back injuries, just because, poor lifting mechanics and all that.
Bad
and
form.
Yeah,
At the
bad
end of the
form.
day, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Hunchback whale when I'm deadlifting. But going through all that, that's where it like really changed me to want to go to college for it. So I actually started college for construction, and then I switched to physical therapist assistant when I was really wanting to go into something where I had experience with getting over injuries and I wanted to help other people. So that's kind of like translated to my gym life. And I've been kind of going into more of becoming pain free and a lot of that stuff. So that's what I'm doing now. I mean, I'm into powerlifting. So that's been fun to play around with some weight. But going forward, I mean, lift as much weight as possible and be pain free.
Do you have any recommendations for the kids or the young adults out there who want to get into lifting
Like-
and have the same type of scenario you do?
Like, where do you get your motivation from? That's my huge question, because I can't seem to get into the gym and stay on top of it every day. Like, I know it's supposed to be an everyday thing, but it's not the case.
Yeah. I mean, motivation for me, it was really more so like starting off being so consistent, because I feel like I had no one there when I first started, and it kind of just carried over to like the rest of my lifting career. So, I mean, I'm 24 now. I've been lifting for 7 years or so now. And it kind of just made me very consistent with all the lifting to the point where I don't really need motivation to go. I mean, yeah, there's motivation to really push myself in the gym. And that's when I'll, do the typical listen to YouTube videos and all that. But for the most part, it's like if you're consistent with something for a long period of time, eventually it'll grow on you to the point where you don't need to force yourself to do it.
Yeah. Second question.
So motivational to me. I know you're just like talking right now, but I don't know, like just where we're at right now and everything. It's just, thank you. I don't know. Just thank you.
So where you came from as a skinny person, do you think it's harder to gain weight as in muscle in the gym if coming from a skinny person to someone who has fat on their body? Like, what side of position do you take? Like, which one's harder to gain muscle from?
I feel like they're both hard in a sense. I
In
don't
their
think
own
one's
way.
easier than the other, because like if you're skinny and you're trying to gain muscle, you're forcing yourself to eat. And most often, there's some people that it's very easy to eat, but most often you are not hungry at all. That's my case. Whereas if you are overweight and you're trying to lose weight, then that's where you'll struggle with not eating as much. So, I mean, my personal opinion, it's harder to lose weight, but in a sense, they're both difficult because it's hard to control yourself in both matters.
So what I saw online was that there's a physical and then mental level. Like I believe it was the mental one was being skinny. Like there's like a mental thing of saying like, oh, I can't do, like, this is too much. Like I can't get the lift in, like people like looking at me. And then for heavier people, it's like the physical of like, I forget what it was specifically, but that's like how they were like breaking it down. Like there's two sides to the argument there on how it's hard for both.
I feel
And
like
they
what you're
both struggle in their own way.
Yeah.
I feel like what you're saying with this is kind of like a body dysmorphia. It's where they kind of like look at
Well,
themselves.
both have that. It's like a
Yeah.
body dysmorphia. It's like no matter how hard and how, eventually if I get pretty beefy, it's like I'll always look in the mirror and see someone who's skinnier. Just like someone who's overweight, they'll probably see themselves as overweight just because they dealt with it for so long. And they've always made that like a thing for them when they're going to the gym. Like, oh, I got to go to the gym to lose weight, or I got to go to the gym to get bigger.
Do you think the people who don't experience body dysmorphia, because like you are in the powerlifting like class where you see people who are lifting extreme weights, do those people still experience like a body dysmorphia?
That's a great question. I feel like a lot of people probably do have a little bit of body dysmorphia.
I got it. You're going to keep talking.
Our dog came in, so
Join. This is Os.
Hi, Sue. She's our lovely 1.5-year-old pug. She's a sweetheart.
Yeah,
Very hairy. Very hairy.
the most beautiful dog ever.
Just eats her down.
But
No, I feel like powerlifters, there's definitely like a stage to it. I mean, there's some powerlifters that are into aesthetics and also lifting a lot of weight, but there's also that side where they don't really care about aesthetics and it's all about how much weight they can do. So if they have body dysmorphia, I wouldn't know. I really haven't looked into that. That's a good question.
Yeah, no, because I definitely know with powerlifting, they test a lot for like gear and certain things that people are on. And I've always wondered, like, once you start taking those things, does it then, like, you see progress faster than you would if you're just natural? Do you then lose that body dysmorphia feeling? And
Well-
I'm not saying this because you've done that. I obviously, like, we've talked about that before. You've
Well-
never done any of that, but
Also with gear, it's like there's when you take gear, I feel like there's a lot of different hormones that run throughout your body. I don't know the science beyond this, but I've heard about people taking, for example, like testosterone, and their hormones are so out of whack that they're feeling, if they have a little bit of anxiety, they'll feel a lot of anxiety. Like it just magnifies things in a sense.
So the reason, like you're saying, like you don't know the science behind it, it's literally that it just amplifies testosterone production. And with that comes like the amplification of body hair, the amplification of like pimples, this and that. That's why bodybuilders are like, oh, if you know someone's on like what's it called?
steroids,
Yeah.
tren, all
Yeah,
that.
trend. It's obvious, like, because you could like see the small things because they have an increase in testosterone. That's like the reason, or like that's the reason behind. I forget where I was going with it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, like you
Yeah.
have signs of like use.
It's like hard to tell because there's some people that's just genetic for, like they'll have a lot of acne that they deal with.
So now you
And-
have to deal with not only body dysmorphia, you have to deal with people thinking you're on something.
Mhm.
And that's just, I mean, you can kind of see, you've probably had the question asked to you, or have you ever been on gear? Does that make you feel good about what you're doing? Thinking that
Yes.
people,
Yes.
I actually have not ever had someone ask me. I mean, there's like one guy
Okay.
he actually asked me. It's like an older guy. I don't know who it was, but
Some
he's like, "Oh,"
Joe.
he's like, hey, like, what do you take? Like, what do you got? You got to take something. I was like, no.
You're not one of those Roid goblins.
And I was only like a few years into lifting. Like, I wasn't big at all. I was probably like 185 pounds or something.
yeah, but I don't think the viewers know this, but when you started, you already had a 6-pack, correct?
Yeah, but that's a six pack, skinny pack. For me, it was the same thing because I can eat as much food as I want. I'll always have that 6-pack. It's just like
That's-
different body types. you know?
Yeah, yeah, I understand that. It's just, do you ever like get sick of it? Like, if it were to go away, would you mind?
No,
You wouldn't mind.
no. And I've told other people that too. It's like if I got rid of my 6-pack in exchange for gaining more muscle and looking beefier, I would take it in an instant.
Wow, that's crazy to me because,
Yeah.
like, I mean,
Well, it's just like I've talked to people who are overweight,
mhm.
and this one guy that I'm thinking of specifically, he said like, "Oh, I would not mind looking skinny
Mhm.
without muscle over just like being fat."
Wow.
It comes with repercussions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Clearly.
It's like he doesn't know that in a sense like both worlds are the same.
Yeah, they're just two opposite sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
I mean, I can see from his angle, fat people are more often called out for who they
Like
are.
over like a general group, yeah.
Yeah.
But like also, if you're super skinny, people also call you out like, oh,
They do,
you're
but
gonna
not to that extent. Especially in high school, middle school, especially middle school, like you don't get called out for being skinny. Now, if you're overweight, like yeah, that's where you'll get the bullying coming in.
but the thing about that is, I feel that you get called out at different times in your life. Like in middle school, if you're overweight, you get called out for that. But like once you start growing up, like it just becomes
once
like a
you
norm.
leave high school,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
No, it
Like
doesn't.
once you leave high school,
Yeah.
it's just like
No,
who
honestly.
who
But the
questions
only
you?
thing-
Nothing
that-
matters when you leave high school, dude.
Bro, we're getting into that right now.
To think about it though, like once you leave high school,
What matters?
you lose everything that like you've been developing. Like if you were that cool kid, what's it matter now?
Mhm.
Because a lot
Yeah.
of people experience that, or like, oh, like I was like some socially awkward kid. Go to college, now I am like flourishing because there's so many other people compared to my class that was literally 70 people. Now I'm just meeting so many different people, and I'm like, wow, this is awesome. Like I can find my own niche of people.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that was me.
And here's the crazy
but-
thing is after college, it's the same thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you
And it's like-
graduated,
Yeah, it's like you graduate college and you don't talk to many of those friends anymore, if any.
so it's like the same as high school.
Yeah, pretty much to an extent. It's like, yeah, in college, especially living in dormitories, which you guys haven't had the honor of doing.
Dormitories or
Dorms.
Dorms.
same but different. We get you.
But that's where you'll have like a lot of friends there. But then after you graduate, you don't talk to many of them anymore. Maybe just like one or two.
It's hard to stay in contact with people.
Yeah.
Because especially when you're growing up, you get a job and you're just like, I'm busy all the time.
Yeah.
Not like you feel busy all the time, but are you, like, as a person with a job, do you feel busy all the time? Like, how much free time do you feel like you have?
For me, not much actually, because of the gym.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it has to do, and I mean, the weekends, yeah, there's a lot of free time. But for the weekdays, I feel like I'm swamped, especially since I'm working like longer days. So you're working a lot and then you're going to the gym. It's like, man,
It's
I have
7
I have to
o'clock.
do this for the rest of my life.
It's 7 o'clock. Here
No.
I am.
So I don't have to the extent of what you have, because you have it a lot more. Like, you're more developed than I am. Like, you actually have a 9 to 5. You're working like every single day except for the weekends. Like, you're always on the clock. I kind of experienced that in the summer when I picked up 3 jobs. Craziest thing ever. I don't know why I did it, and I was trying to do the gym. And I just wanted to understand like what it felt like to work, like to really work. So I worked Walmart, I did construction, and then I was helping with like a lawn care business. And like when you say that you work and then you go to the gym, like I consider the gym like work, because you are going to work for like 9 to 5. And then as soon as you're done with that, you're going to the gym for like an hour 30 or 2 hours. Or if you do that before, then you're going to work after that. So like you're pulling an all day shift, then going to sleep, waking up, repeating the process, going to sleep, waking up, doing the exact same process. And it's like, if you work at a place where you're doing the same thing every day, it becomes like a cycle and you just keep doing it. You just keep doing it. It's like you're a robot. Something that Jake, I, and Jared have all been talking about is when you are born, you are destined to work a 9 to 5. And it's a weird concept to think about. And I mean, when I still think about it, I might not be the best at explaining it, but that's why we have this, so we could talk about it. And
Experience it.
it's just, when you grow up, your only option, essentially, if you don't try to do anything, you are going to be destined to work a 9 to 5. And it's just something that you get pulled into. And I mean, we'll ask someone who's actually currently in that, not to call you out, but like to talk about it, like to talk about the experience and like what happens after you graduate college and all that.
Well, no, I think like that's definitely something that society really pushes, is for you to get the job. It's like, ever since you were little, what do you want to be when you grow up? It's never, the answer is never, oh, to explore the world. It's always to
I want to be a
get working.
fireman. I want to be a president.
Yeah, exactly.
It's some form of job.
It's some form of work where you're going to be spending the rest of your life until retirement. And that's just like super sad to see that America's like kind of turning out like that.
Instead of like pushing individual like prospects, like, oh, you're really interested in this like one thing. Instead of, not saying like being a fireman, cop, like not like that's all cool. Don't get me wrong, but like instead of like pushing like, oh, you want to try to like do YouTube, best of luck with that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no, like,
is that gonna work out for you?
yeah, people look down on me. Like, I was like, oh yeah, what are you doing? They're like, I was like, oh yeah, I just want to start a podcast, talk about it. Like, the people in our generation, like our age, they're like, oh yeah, go for it. But like, if I tell my professor that, they're just gonna look at me and laugh.
Oh no, I had an experience of that. Someone came up to me after class. I was walking out late. I talked to the teacher. The teacher's in front of me. She's walking down the stairwell talking to another student. A kid that knew Justin was like, "Oh my God, you're Jared. You're Justin's brother, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I saw your podcast." And the teacher like looked back, giggled, and like kept walking. She didn't ask me about it or anything. She turned around, like giggled, and like walked back. I took that as like, oh, she's probably like, does it really matter? Like, oh, it's kind of funny, like. But yeah, that's my personal experience with that. It was funny in the moment.
What Jake said, though, it blew my mind, because I remember seeing this somewhere. I believe it was on TikTok. I can't quote the video, but like when you're in kindergarten, they don't ask you like, what do you want to do when you grow up? Like, they don't ask you in a sense of like going places or like exploring the world. They're always like, what job do you want? Exactly. Where do you want to go after this? And it's just like, the individualism in that is completely wiped out because they just want to know what use do you have to society after you're done with this institution. And it just, when I hear that and I just think about it, I'm like, it's just like the constant thing over and over. And like you have these guidance counselor meetings where all they care about is, oh, you talked about wanting to do this job. Can you do this job? And then does it change? It's never about what do you want to do like in the future of it. It's always like, okay, you get the job. We want you to get the job. But it's just like you're only meant to work. It's like you're desired to work. And I'm sorry I'm like ranting right now. It's just like I've always thought about this, and then until today we were just like coming up with concepts to talk about like usual. And like this destined to work is just, it's crazy.
And it's like now that I'm working like a 9 to 5 technically, it's like now I'm seeing, because after college, like once you start working, you get into that point where it's like the first few months feel like a burnout. And then
The first what, 4?
the first, no, just like first few months of
Oh, okay,
working
sorry.
a 9 to 5, like after college is like a burnout because you're like, oh man, like this is what I gotta do for the rest of my life. Like when you're in college, you can work at any job that's like full time during the summer, but it's not the same as after college because you know that that work during the summer is going to be over. And it's like after college, once you start working, you know, what is it, 55 retirement age?
Yeah.
That's when you're going to be
Wait,
done.
55 or yeah,
It
no,
might be
is 50.
65.
Yeah, I thought it was 60.
Yeah.
It's between 65 and 75.
Hi, bro. Thank you.
Can I come like watch?
When you go from somewhere, from like let's say high school, you go to high school, you start like you go to the senior, you're like, oh, I'm here finally, like I'm at the max peak. You go to college, start all over. You are a nothing person now, and then you go work your way up again. You're a senior, and then you graduate, and then you start a job, then you work.
And then you work up the ladders in the job.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's just like such a repeat of everybody.
So after college, would you say everybody basically ends up in a 9 to 5 to some point? I'm not saying like college to 9 to 5, but like essentially.
For the most part, I feel like there's a very small percentage that actually end up trying to start their own business or start something on their own, like a podcast, for example. Yeah. Because most are raised, and I feel like a lot of parents are kind of like raising their kids to try to start a 9 to, like get into their job that they're like.
Because your parents want to see you get into something where you could start making money and
So
something
you're, you're stable and comfortable.
Yeah, that you can support a family. Because that's
Yes.
the whole point, is to
Absolutely.
reproduce. At the end of the day, that's what we are as humans, is to reproduce.
Yeah.
Rob will definitely be back next episode, but
I'm only skipping because I want money. Don't gamble, kids.
yeah, don't gamble.
It's
Don't.
not worth it. Unless you're me. But then in that case, you know, whatever.
Love that, man.
Oh,
It's great.
He wasn't in frame.
Yeah. Aw. That entire time he
Hopefully we could hear him, though.
was. No, we'll definitely be able to hear him. Yeah, we got him. Oh, I can feel your
got him on the
savior.
second
Your
count.
savior.
Bet.
But
Bro, when he got up to the mic, it was just... I was like, that's great.
we're gonna use that in the intro. No, but like to talk about the destined to work type of thing again. I mean, I'm not trying to like beat
Rant.
it out, but it's just like
Sorry. You know where I was going with that before I even said it.
no,
I get it.
But like Jake, a question for you. Like,
Pause.
Hey, yo,
What-
chill, pause.
was there ever a moment in time when, like, you know, like how when you have a summer job, you're always like, well, I'm gonna go back to school. So you most likely had that type of feeling when you graduated college. Did you, like, what was your initial reaction, and like how did you overcome that? Because I'm asking for the people who, like, let's say they are graduating high school and they're not going to college and they're experiencing the same type of thing, and like the people who are also graduating college and who also are going to be experiencing the same type of thing. Like, how did you deal with it? How'd you
I'm
get
not gonna
over
lie.
it?
I'm there in a year,
Yeah.
and I am not on track to the pre-med terminology. Like, I'm not technically looking like I'm there
Mm-hmm.
right now. As a junior in college, I should be studying for the MCAT. I haven't, so I might be taking a gap year in between college and med school if I still go to med school. I'm just praying something else happens. Like, I might become a pilot, podcasting, this, that, anything in life. I'm fine with like going any any avenue.
Yeah.
But med school is a whole nother beast.
Yeah.
that I'm not
I
ready
mean,
for.
it's definitely a huge step. I mean, you go through college kind of during the summers, you're working mostly like most of the time full time to try to save enough money up for college. And I mean, at college, you're with your friends and you're studying. You don't really think about, I mean, you think about a little about what you're going to do after, but after you graduate, that's when you really have time to think like, oh, am I going to do this for the rest of my life?
You
Like,
get there,
it's-
you're like, damn, the first day was kind of
Yeah,
Kinda
especially it's
iffy.
like you get a lot of deep thoughts about like how you want to spend the rest of your future. And like for me, I've always like dealt every single job as a stepping stone. So it's like now that I'm in a job that I'm working right now, it's like I'm supposed to do this for the rest of my life. And it's like it's a big adjustment period in a sense. And like I feel like everybody goes through it. It's not just me, but
well, Jake, it's either that, McDonald's or Walmart. You gotta
yeah,
you gotta pick.
I know.
Bro, don't even get me started about one of those places.
Well, that's
Justin
the
loved
sad thing is
Walmart.
like with people who have a college degree compared to people who don't, it's like the wage is not much different. There's a lot of people that have
Comparably,
no
yes.
no college degree, and they can work up the ladder to the point where they're making more than people who start out with a college degree. And it's
And you're not in the debt of a college
Yeah.
person.
exactly.
How is that possible? You know what I mean? Like that, like hearing that, and like I've never really understood it until actually going to college. And my one friend, he's working right now out of high school.
And you're already ahead of the person who went to college.
Yeah, he's
That's
ahead of
Rob's
me.
scenario, technically. Rob and his friend group, they're just like, oh, we're gonna have like a thing to see the first person to make like like this much
$1
money.
million or something.
Yeah,
like that.
something ridiculous. And the thing is, Rob's like, oh yeah, I'm going to college and I'm being set back this much without even getting out the gate. And right now, Rob's set behind and all his friends are out there making money at just like a regular corporation that's like huge, and they're paying like $20 an hour just for you to work a 9 to 5 job or like the 12-hour shift job. So you work 4 days a week.
Mhm.
It makes money, and you're already out the gate with no debt.
Well, it's the thing now too. You got to keep in mind with like inflation now, it's brutal. So with people who have to rent, it's like side hustles are honestly the new thing to be able to afford things.
Calling
And you
out
really
DoorDash.
like, huh?
DoorDash.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I've done DoorDash, Uber. That's what I did in college. I did Uber. And like that was a way to kind of just make ends meet in a sense. And now it's like kind of seeming like, especially with how much things cost, how much rent costs, it's like you have to work your 40-hour-a-week job, but you also should start thinking about side hustles, how you can make in some side income.
Yeah.
And that should be stuff that's not too stressful, stuff that you enjoy, like
Mhm.
podcasting.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we're just doing this for fun right now, if I'm
Yeah,
gonna be honest.
Just
It's
for
like
fun.
just trying to get out there, make a
Yeah.
name for ourselves,
Yeah.
just put something on the internet that's positive, I guess you could say, to the most point.
Mhm.
Yeah, by the way, make sure you guys like and subscribe and leave a comment and just let us know how we're doing with this. I mean, we are starting off. There's a lot of stuff that is still in the making. And I mean, our very first guest, Jake, our cousin who we love the most, is on, and this is honestly an honor. I know you're laughing because I know it's a joke, but
No, I had a joke I wanted to say. I wanted to say that we couldn't find any other guest, but that's
No,
not the case.
no, I actually
He
not
lives right
even
over there.
not even if this is recording. I just want to say thank you for coming on as the first guest.
Yeah.
It means a whole lot to me. You're starting the path.
So Capilla, you'd be really interested in this.
This is crazy.
And me and Justin were just kind of in our room asking Alexa, asking Siri, just like all these different questions because we watched a video. We're going to put it in the description so you guys can like watch a full 10-minute video, but
10 minutes.
it's only 10 minutes. It's huge though.
No,
It is legitimately like it's interesting
Okay.
to a point.
Because I feel like our generation, we can't even like sit still for a minute long TikTok. 10-minute videos are a little bit of a stretch.
you know it's crazy. We're putting out podcasts that are an hour.
If people are sitting there like, I'm doing this while
No, I
I'm
looked at
doing
their
homework.
attention rate on the last podcast. This is to you guys watching. We
No
had
one
like
made
a
it this far.
we had a 7% retention rate. so that meant that 7% out of every view.
All like 400
Let's make
views.
that 8%, bro.
Every time it gets better. Hopefully, that's what we're praying.
Yeah, no,
for.
we're
Hopefully like they see that. It's like, oh wow, it's getting interesting. It's not the first podcast.
Yeah. I watched like 3 minutes of it.
no, it's fine. It's fine.
Kapel, how much did you watch?
I've watched only the TikToks and the reels. I
Okay.
can't.
As long as you didn't click on the YouTube and only watch 10. But if you did it, I mean, it is what it is. A view's a view. But
Damn. Okay. Hold up. I gotta fix this.
But yeah, isn't it crazy? Only 7%. And we went to the end. It was just like 0.00.
Yeah, basically no one watched till the end. So except for me, I watched it.
Yeah,
to the
Justin
end.
watched the end
Yeah.
like 4 times. Justin
3.
really found it.
No,
He
interesting.
made
okay.
like 10 different
No,
accounts.
the thing about this is, no, I'm a person who I want to see how I can perform, and I want to see how I do, and I always want to make room for improvement. And I think that there's nothing that'll ever be perfect first try through, and that's what we're trying here. But nothing's perfect first time through, and I like to sit back, watch, listen, and see what I could have done differently in a sense, and how I could have approached scenarios, or how I could have made it more interesting, or if I
Wording.
should have, yeah, like all that. And this is a learning curve for me. I'm by far not the most intellectual person you guys will see, nor am I the best. Nor-
You say contemplating like, I don't
And-
know if it's just Jared, but
But this isn't about me, it's about Jake. So let's talk about the thing we watched, the video. You want to start off because you actually originally saw it.
So the basis of the idea is that there's like as history moves on, there's increments of 80 that happen in history, where we go through 4 different sections in 20 period increments, which I forget what the 4 are. I know the ones awakening, the ones like crisis. It's awakening, crisis. I forget the other 2 beginning ones. Do you recall?
I forget, but
To sum it up though, basically it starts off where there's like a golden period where everyone's happy, like the period's thriving, moves into a point where I believe that was the awakening, where like people are realizing things, like doing different things, like people are trying things, like in the 80s people are doing acid, yada yada yada, like all these different things. Then it moved to a point of like not crisis, it was like a hectic period. Forget the unraveling. I think it was like something like
yeah,
unraveling.
no, yeah, you got it. Unraveling.
It's something like that,
Yeah.
where it's just like all these small events. I wouldn't say small because we're talking about Vietnam was one of them, and another one sort of say was in another like small event like that. I say small, but compared to what the actual event will be, it's considerably small to what it was. And right now we're approaching, in terms of the fall, the crisis, the thing that like changes history as a whole is coming up, supposedly. And Justin, how he correlated to the 80 period theory was that there was an old kingdom. I forget what it was, but it lasted 240 years. And this 240-year period, if you divide it by 3, or
You divide it by 80.
You divide it by
it's
80.
80 years.
You can continue on this
Okay.
part because you did the
Yeah.
math. You were like looking
Yeah.
into it for me.
I'm a very statistical person, and I like to look at numbers because I just think that's how it communicates to me, and in a weird way, I guess. And after hearing this, history repeats itself. You guys always hear that. You've heard it in high school. You've heard it everywhere. Like, oh, that's happened before. History repeats itself. And not till today, I was like, oh yeah, that's
Explain what the theory was with like the 2 increments before this, like how it repeated twice
What do you mean?
with the crisis. So like the first crisis,
Oh.
so to say, was
So the first crisis
Remember?
was the Civil War, and then
Revolutionary.
the Revolutionary War, Civil War, and these are all in increments of 80, so like 80 years apart. That's
Yeah.
at least what the video said.
yeah.
I might be like, I'm not just blabbing. I saw a video on it. He showed me. It was quite literally very interesting. I suggest Kapil
So it
to
went
watch
from
it. It's so good.
it went from the Revolutionary War, which was huge, changed how we went like around America. Then it went to the Civil War / the Great Depression, which dropped people's souls. Like people like completely changed the way of living, how they went to save money, how they like were hiding it in their backyard, like stockpiling on it. And then after that period, there came a period of, oh wow, life's great. I forget what the period was, but there was a period of
The
flourishing.
Awakening?
Yes, the period of awakening, of flourishing.
Yeah.
to whatever that was. It was just people being happy, living lives, and then like
And that was when
periods
there
of
was a
fallout.
lot of new inventions made.
Yeah.
Yes. And a lot of like they're sending people to space,
Yeah.
like all this cool stuff, sending
Mhm.
monkeys, space
People were
dogs.
actually being individualized. People were doing things that they were created for.
Yeah.
creating technology,
Yeah.
like doing all this new stuff. Yeah.
No, so as I was saying earlier with the statistics, I was looking at how long America has been like thriving for and how long it's been ruling. And at the moment in time we are right now, it's said on Wikipedia, but we're just gonna take it because it's the first thing that came up. 245 years. No, that's what Siri recommended me. So hey,
Siri. Okay.
but yeah, 245 years. And I was sitting there, I'm like, 240. I divided that by 80, but I didn't take 245. We've been doing it for 245 years, but I just took 240 because it was easier and I knew it would work out. And that's 3. Right now, as we are in time, if history does repeat itself and we are in the crisis period, which we are,
Yeah, out of the 80.
out of the 80
80.
years, and the thing that freaked me out the most is we are at the crisis period right now, and everything that's happening in today's society is a crisis. We just got over a pandemic. We're getting into
Politics,
We're getting into
divide.
politics, a divide. We're getting into crazy segregation. We're getting into mass shootings. We're getting into a bunch of all these horrific things that just keep happening, and it's like we don't know. We became so desensitized to all this stuff. We are, in fact, I believe, after seeing that video, in the crisis period.
It says
And-
we are, but it's saying that something's supposed to happen within the next 4 years. That is,
It ends in
changing
2028.
as the Great Depression.
That's
or as
also the
Civil
thing
War.
is like, there's also the argument that the worldwide war, like with Ukraine and all that, that could be part of the crisis. But there's also been like wars like that going around for a long time. So
all around the war, because that's
Yeah.
what like wars are always there.
yeah, absolutely.
So I was looking online,
you
as
find?
one does. It's called the Strauss-Howe generation theory, and it talks about how every pretty much there's like different age groups, which are generations, that have like 20 years difference, and it says that according to this theory, an 80-year cycle is crucial, with every 4 generations is associated to a crisis that impacts the ongoing social order and creates a new one. So,
Yeah, no, it's definitely in.
Like it works its way up every 20 years, and
Yeah.
it hits the crisis, and then the next one starts.
exactly.
Yes, and I severely recommend.
Explain
Involves multiple generations.
Yeah. Explain the oldest civilization, like the oldest kingdom or something you were saying, like the oldest
Yeah.
something, because this is the part that Justin found crazy, and that we came downstairs to tell you about. And we were like, bro, this is gonna be like shocking for you.
Really?
This is the part we were like, this is insane.
So we ended up looking up like the oldest generation or the oldest
Well,
civilization
yeah,
that
civilization,
lasted.
not kingdom.
Yeah, and it said like some high number, but I was like, that's weird. So I just divided it, and I divided it by 80. Or yeah, I divided by. And
It
came out-
genuinely said 240. Like the oldest civilization that like lasted for like the longest amount of time and like all the records of the world was 240 years.
And we're at 240.
Justin divided that by 3, divided that by
80.
80, got 3. He divided how long the United States has been standing, divided that by 3, got 3. And
80.
divided by 80, they got 3.
Well,
So
we're
comparably,
a little bit over 3 right now,
yes,
but like the fact that freaked me out the most.
repeating history. That's like the whole part of the theory. And technically, if we're repeating history and that thing fell without knowing this theory, if that thing fell, the civilization fell apart in 80 period increments. What's to say that something doesn't happen to the States where we get into this huge crisis that dissolves what the United States is as a whole?
I feel like there is a lot that's going on right now that could definitely get worse, because it seems like every single time there's an election about to happen, something happens. And
Yeah.
I'm not favoring one side or the other.
Yeah,
it's
no,
just
same.
like every single time, every 4 years, something happens, and I feel like it's just going to get worse and worse because the political divide in America is massive. I mean, there was that one president that said that it was going to be the downfall
Rob would be here to tell you that. Rob is a huge president person.
Yeah.
He knows so much history.
He loves his presidents, but you're going to continue. Sorry.
No, that's all. I'm just saying, like, the political divide, I think, is going to be the downfall of America. It's just going to, something bad is going to happen eventually. It's getting worse and worse. I mean, take it from times before. I mean, there's a lot of people that say, like, oh, bad things have happened for such a long period of time, but not a divide like this. I feel like everybody used to work together, and now it's just becoming worse and worse.
So have you ever heard of the thing where like people are like, oh yeah, I'm really good friends with like this person, and the next thing you know, they're like, oh, you're a Democrat. Like back up. Like that's how
Yeah, there's
far
a
the
lot of
divide
that.
has come. To say that the divide doesn't get worse and it strands off to be worse, that's like one situation. It could also go to a war with Russia or another pandemic that's deadlier or something crazier. That's what it's predicted to be, but we don't know what it is. But it's very, very like scary to think that like we're watching the video that's like produced however year, like many years later. The book that theory came out of that you mentioned.
Strauss Howe. Okay.
Yes, that theory was from 1997. So we're in the year 2024.
And it's still relevant.
And it proves the history, shows the pandemic, like shows the pandemic in like the third period of being just like the falling apart part.
No, it's in the crisis period. He put it as the crisis.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
You said 1947?
1997.
1997. Okay.
That's when the book came out about it.
Something that you just brought up recently that I am blown away with is we
I'm
have
just
presidential
going.
elections every 4 years.
What's cool about that?
Divide 4 by 80. That's 20.
Wait, 80?
Whoa, 80
Whoa.
before.
Or 80. No, my bad.
He's a
but you get
bio
what I'm
major.
saying.
Let
Yeah,
him-
I'm a
let him
bio
rock.
major. I don't have to touch math this year or
That's
next
funny.
year but it's 20.
Wait till physics.
Think about it. You said that.
Fail that class.
You said. Okay, bro. Womp
Take
womp.
a W.
So
Continue.
you basically said that every single time a re-election comes up, you always see more divide, and you like this is the most division we have ever seen. I mean, I'm fairly young, but I could say that for myself. Like this seems like an extreme. Which side wins? The losing losing side will have something, and it's not gonna be good.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to scare anybody, but it's just like be aware. Like it's. Like if you're sitting there and thinking, oh, we'll all be fine, I don't think that's the case. Like I think something's gonna happen. Like look what they did. I mean, the Capitol. Like I don't know. I'm not trying to get political, but I'm gonna shade away from that. But it's just like, are we doing it to ourselves? The 80.
Well, a big thing too you got to keep in mind is like with media, how far that's come since years and years ago, and it's gotten to the point where everything you view, if you watch a video all the way through and like it, you will continue to get content like that. There's so much stuff that's targeted towards certain individuals that's like trying to get you to steer away from other parties, you know?
Yeah. So like, do you think that we do it to ourselves? Like all this downfall and all this like crisis period and all that. Do you think we do it to ourselves?
Absolutely. I think it's everybody. There's not many people out there that have a neutral standing between everything and kind of see it where people are just hating each other in a sense.
Yeah.
There's so much hate in this world that
So
it's
much.
sad to see because it's just changing the way our world is turning.
Yeah,
especially America.
Yeah, and I agree with that 100%. And I'm noticing that, and it's like it's eye opening because I'm younger than you, and I'm noticing that. And like I've talked to older people about this, and like my one teacher in high school, I'm not gonna name off names, but he said to me that like growing up in my generation would scare him to death. Like he'd be freaked out because he's like when I was growing up, it was awesome. It was like the prosperous era. I loved it. Like he grew up in like I think the 60s, and like he loved it. Mind you, he's older now, but like he's like, I don't have much time to live, so I'm not gonna sit here and worry about it. And I think that's like the impression that a lot of these people have is that like, oh well, since I'm not gonna be here, it's not gonna affect me. And I mean, rightfully so. That like if I was their age, I feel like I'd feel the same way. But for us, I mean, everybody in this room, we still have 50, 60 years hopefully projected to live.
Yeah.
And it's just like, if you really look at it, it's like, if we still have this division, it's only going to amplify. Theoretically.
It's like I've talked to people too where they're saying, like, I'll ask them if they have kids and just be like, oh no, I don't want to raise a kid in these conditions. Or like, I've been told not to raise kids in these conditions, the way that America is turning out to be. And it's just like crazy to see that people are actually telling other people not to reproduce.
Yeah. No, that is freaky to me. Like the fact that people are, I mean, they are noticing that. Like they're like, I wouldn't want to, and I've said that to my parents. Like they're like, oh, have you ever thought about having kids? And I'm like, I don't know. Like in where we're at right now, it freaks me out because I'm in a constant state of, well, on the news it's saying we're gonna be in the next world war.
Yeah.
Or like China is going to invade Taiwan, which is then going to force us in. And like, I'm not trying to freak people out. It's just like, we become so like desensitized by it that it doesn't bother us. And I think that's the problem. Like we go on the news anymore and it's just like, oh, a new strain of COVID's out. Okay. That's good.
But yeah, it's also, I feel like it all ties back into like, back to the 9-to-5 job thing. It's like it kind of has to do with like how we're all just like pawns, because we're all just like thrown into a cycle of life. And in a sense, it's like, to the government, we don't make an impact. We're just there to work.
I've experienced that firsthand. The last place I've worked, I'm not going to mention the name of it, but I've worked there. It's a corporation, and you're quite literally just a number there. Like at the end of the day, you quit. Okay, number.
You're replaceable.
You're replaceable. All they're going to do is
Absolutely.
they're just going to take another application, put you right in.
Yeah.
So like what you're saying is completely eye-opening to me. It's like wow. You're just another pawn. And like when you work that job, it's like, in a sense, you are that pawn. It's like that 9-to-5 that you just keep going back to. And I don't know. I just like, what other point were you trying to come out of that 9 to?
Well, I was basically just saying, like, with the way that most Americans are raised to be, is to work a 9-to-5 and to not become, in a sense, become powerful
Or successful.
Yeah.
Because you're just, what does school teach you to do? Like,
Yeah.
it just teaches
It's
you
like,
how to follow.
If you're not successful, then you're not really making an impact on how things are. I mean, most of us, the way, if you go online, go on Instagram, whatever, it's like you're being persuaded by something. What, like, depending on what you view. And most of the things that you're viewing are by someone that's pretty powerful usually.
Yeah.
And you got popular names out there, not going to state them, but they're the ones that are persuading a lot of people in their decisions and their thinking.
Yeah. No, it's just, it's a lot to think about. Like, it's scary in a sense of like taking a step back and like viewing it from the bigger picture, because like schools, like you were saying, schools don't teach you how to do certain things. Like, they don't teach you like how to strive for your excellence. They only show you that in the way of getting a grade.
I hate schools. That's all I have to say. I hate schools. Jared, you can come take over. That's actually
Wait,
my
Rob,
one line.
before you leave, thank you for coming on, by
thank
the
you.
way.
Thank you.
Rob, like you guys are, like I said earlier, it was,
They know.
but what's your opinion on, like, we brought it up earlier, but I wanted to know your opinion. I was gonna ask you off camera, but
Oh, yeah,
since
no,
you're
do it
here-
on camera. Let's go.
Old work mills.
Yeah, well, we were talking about how, like, philosophically, people are destined from birth to work a 9 to 5. What's your?
Oh yeah, I mean that's the goal of life, right? You wake up, right?
Yeah.
When you're first born, you live your first 18 years. You go to school. If you can't go to school after that, or you're not smart enough, you go straight to trade school or working 9 to 5, and eventually you go right to a 9 to 5. The system is set up that every person has the same opportunity to get a job,
get whatever education they want. But that job, right, is going to be, in essence, a 9 to 5 desk job. That's the goal, right? Shows like things like this that people do for like actual money, big podcasts, they are the exception. That wasn't the standard. The standard was eventually you're going to sit there amongst 100 of your coworkers in a cubicle doing 100 of the same thing but differently, right? You're going to look at the numbers, whatever numbers there are. And that's your goal. That is your purpose. And that's how it was designed to be. That's how life in the United States, at least, and I think a lot of the world, your purpose is to eventually, you're going to serve a company, a nameless company, work this 9 to 5 for 40 years, get your pension, move to whatever state you please, and you're going to live the next 20 years, or if you get that, whatever.
If that.
Yeah, if that.
Exactly. That's the problem. We work our asses off until the end, and some people get unlucky. I know someone, my dad's former coworker, worked with, in that company for 40 years. He retired at like 71. The next day after retirement, widowmaker, gone. And it's terrible. That's terrible. People will say, oh, well, it was just age. Maybe it was the stress of working a difficult job for 40 years, 9 to 5 every day. They don't think about that. I'm not for what Bernie Sanders said in the news recently, which is 30-hour work week.
Mhm.
That's
Oops. Hear that.
I can't say that. But the point being, right? There should be some sort of way. And I'll explain. I'm sorry if I'm taking up too much time rambling.
No,
But
you're not.
My dad, personally, he has a hybrid job now. Never was hybrid. Worked on Wall Street from the 90s on till now, right? 2020 hits, and they start doing everything online. In his department, or even in the company, let's just say, that he works for, they realize there is some sort of efficiency with having half of your coworkers come in on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule, and half your coworkers coming in on a Tuesday, Thursday schedule. And the rest you spend at home at your computer that the company would send you, or your monitor, whatever, and do the same thing. Because the truth is, you can probably do a desk job from home. If the last 4 years aren't proof, I don't know what else will be.
There was a thing about when COVID happened, how many jobs went remote. And there's a lot of offices in New York City that are just completely vacant because they stayed that way. They realized that they don't have to pay lease. They can just continue to have these people work from home, which is, it's honestly good for the people. They can do what they want. But that was a huge thing.
You got to drive your daughter, or you got to go pick up your daughter from school because she threw up sick and your wife's out. Okay, I could take 10, 15 minutes off from, looking at numbers. That's, to me, the biggest thing. My dad was able to be there the last 4 years because you saw, not just COVID year, but even when they started going back, he works from home Monday, Wednesday, Friday. He goes into the office Tuesday, Thursday, and occasionally will go in on Wednesdays, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? It's how the schedule is. Everyone has the same schedule, in that department, I guess. And it's just, that's by design because they realize, like you said, they don't have to pay as much for leasing. Why are you going to lease a huge office and only have half people, and instead get half of the office and just people bring stuff? No one has a desk necessarily, but you still have an office, but most of your people are at home, on call. And that's also another thing. We're able to reach people much easier via telephone, Zoom call, whatever. Much easier than it was in the 80s and the 90s when these had their conference calls. Conference calls now can be done over Zoom, done 10 minutes, and guess what? You're in your house. You're not even fucking wearing pants.
Yeah. You only had to wear the shirt.
You only have to wear the shirt. That literally is what people do, though.
What's funny is so when I worked as a corrections officer for a few years, and they had courts over Zoom.
Wow.
Whoa.
Which is crazy.
I would have never have thought.
That's the one thing I thought would not change anything government wise. You have to be there. I thought, I guess. That's surprising. That's really interesting too.
Yeah.
It's like,
So
what would happen if like
where was the like? So did they bring a laptop to like?
We had a TV that was like all set up, and it was pretty much a computer that was just like up in the corner, and we would go set it up
That's awesome.
and just connect with the judge pretty much.
Efficient.
It's crazy.
wow.
Yeah.
We were talking, and again, I also have the last podcast in my mind because I was just watching it. We're talking so much about AI. This is actually a benefit of AI, the efficiency we have in communication with one another. I know if I have family that I can't, I'm not physically in range with, it's much easier to me to just FaceTime them than it was for our parents who had to, call. There was no FaceTime. That's the one thing through all of this, efficiency of communication through technology. That is literally, I think, one of the two things I think of when I think, oh, that's a benefit of AI, or that's a benefit of technology growing. I get to, reach out to my family. I get to FaceTime, see my dad's face, see my mom's face, all that. I think that's one of those benefits. And that's what a lot of people argue. Oh, well, there's benefits to this. Or, oh, let's get an iPhone, we can FaceTime. That's a lot of what goes through people's minds is, well, communication. It's a big thing.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. And honestly, thank you so much
Yeah,
for
thank
the
you
9
for-
to 5.
Thank you for letting me ramble for a few minutes. I'm going to
No.
go back. Jared, you ready to take over?
Rob,
Appreciate signing off.
Appreciate you, bro.
See you guys.
We'll see you.
I think I want to say is just like, thank you for introducing me to Rob. Like all the people I've met through college, Kapil, and like
He's a unique individual.
no, but it's just like
Love him though.
I don't know. He could change the room's atmosphere just walking in. No, it's like
The best way I could describe him is the first time he walked in. Like, the first time he walked in, stood in front of the camera and just started ranting. That is Rob.
that is Rob at essence. Like he's not putting on a show for you guys. Like you, Kapil, you've seen him at school.
That's like Rob raw content right there.
Yeah. Like him coming in and just screaming. That's Rob. Like he's not doing it for the camera. Jake, he's woken you up before.
Oh yeah, every night. 11 o'clock on the dot.
So I'm so into this work type of mood and just like
Well, it's like it. So that brings us to the other thing that we were talking about was travel, and how there's so many places on this world that we can travel to, but work prevents us from doing it. And it's sad because, out of most jobs that you get, you'll be applauded if you get like over 3 weeks of vacation.
You work a year for us, we'll give you 2 vacations day.
Yeah,
2 vacation days.
It's
and
crazy.
if you take sick days, we take your vacation day away.
Yeah.
If you take enough overtime, you might get a longer vacation.
And so it's like most people are just like looking forward every single year of their life to that one vacation.
It sucks.
Isn't that crazy?
That's so depressing. Like think about this. And I'm not trying to depress anybody here, but like when you're working a 9 to 5 and you're growing up and you're becoming an adult and you're becoming like sustainable and like capable of living on your own. If you're working a 9 to 5 and you're doing the process of going to the gym, or like let's say you're not even going to the gym, but like you're working a job that's tiring you out, so you're just working, eating and maintaining and going to bed. Like that's all you're doing every single day. You only get to see your parents on either your vacation days or your weekends. And let's say you only can see them on the holidays that you get off. And let's say you go to see them and you get like just like 3 days. You get Easter, Christmas, and Thanksgiving off. I'm just labeling just 3 holidays.
Wait, as an adult, you don't get Halloween off?
Nope.
You don't go trick-or-treating anymore?
No, but so you only get 3 holidays off. I'm just making the math easy. And let's just say your parents are in their late 60s and their projected age, like they're supposed to live till 70.
80, 70.
I'm
Whatever
just trying
makes
to
the math
Yeah,
work.
I'm just trying to do in 10.
All right, bro.
You have 10 years to see him, and you have 3 times 12, 36. 36 times 10, you have 360 times to see them. Okay? Now, That's even if you see them every single holiday. Also, if my math is wrong, you could put me in the comments. Is it
360 times 12 is not. Wait, 30. What did you say?
36 times? Oh yeah, I messed up the math so much. Okay, but we won't worry about that. But what I'm trying to say is you're not guaranteed to see your family a lot. Work ruins that in a sense. And like I feel like you would witness it firsthand. Like you kind of understand. Like you live somewhere else now. Like you're not with your family as much. I mean, we aren't either, but we could just go home whenever. But you're kind of like restricted. You can't go during the weekday because you're working, and then like your weekend is busy.
Yeah.
And it's just like you're starting. I don't know. Like I'm not trying to make it like depressing, but like work drains you so much. It's draining you of your life to see your family. Like I've felt guilty, and this is kind of like showing my vulnerable side, is like if something were to happen to my family, like I would have the thought of like I should have done this. Like why am I working? What do I get out of working? $1. Okay. Well, what do you get from that dollar? You know what I mean? Like you can't take that after you die. Like so you're working for in essence of making a currency that doesn't even matter.
That's why like I'm so like huge. I've always been like someone who likes experiences more than things.
What do you mean by things?
Like having money, buying things, and having
Things.
money.
Like money.
Things.
Thanks. My bad.
No, but like being able to spend your money and do experiences, especially while you're young, is so important because if you don't, I mean, the only time you're going to have to do is after retirement. And you're going to be old and decrepit by then.
Yeah, and you're not even be able to
You're
walk
gonna
up
meet
the stairs.
people that's like, oh, we'll have to do this again. Like, oh,
Go play poker.
we'll go play pickleball.
Yeah.
We'll only play 2 rounds though because we get tired.
Yeah.
No,
It's
it's
not the same as being young and being energetic and being like, oh
Mhm.
my god,
Yeah, like
Yeah,
you
have
could-
you tried this? Like,
Even
let's go
when-
skydiving. Like,
Even when you're young,
something
it's like
like-
you're working. It's like, all right, what are we going to do this weekend?
yeah,
yeah.
It's never
Oh,
like,
you got the
we should
weekend
go on
off
this
too?
2-week trip. If only it could be like that, you know?
Yeah.
But
No, it's just this whole work talk, it's very complex. Like the way, I mean, obviously we didn't go crazy into it and like we could make numerous episodes talking about like this type of things we are talking about right now, but like I think you were the most appropriate person to ask like this topic to because you're going through it right now. You graduated college. I mean, we look up to you in a sense of like how did you get past it? And it's just like to the people out there watching, like it's different, but I can't fully say how I feel about it because I've never experienced it, but you have.
mhm.
And I feel that like you explaining your situation and talking about it to others is going to help.
Jake, not to delve back into the gym talk,
Mhm.
but how important do you feel food is?
It's everything.
It's everything for a
Yeah,
person.
That's what I struggle with.
Food.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're okay. Hear me out. For someone who loves the gym, as Jake does, he does not like cooking.
Hate cooking.
It's not something you look
Can't
forward
stand
to
it.
in your day.
I've tried meal prep services,
Expensive.
just going to the store and buying pre-made meals.
Would you recommend any like meal prep services?
No.
No.
They're very expensive. He
No.
was telling me the prices.
And for the most part, it's like they're really good if you're trying. They are really expensive. That's one thing. But they're really good if you're trying to lose weight. Because that's one thing I noticed is
It like sets you like
they're not the highest calorie. And like that's the sad thing is like you go to a vitamin shop, there's nothing about like, I mean, yeah, they'll have their mass gainers and stuff, but they'll have a whole section for weight loss. So it's like most things are targeted out towards weight loss, and especially with these meal prep services, it's always like low calorie. So for me, it's not good.
Where's the bulk at?
There's some
Like-
bulk stuff, but they don't
Okay.
have a bulk section. That's the thing. Is like they'll have mass gainers, but there's not an actual bulk section.
I
Yeah,
know
no,
some people be bulking for a few years, but oh shoot, that's no. But what I'm trying to say is that a majority of our country's population is more. No. I'm saying like statistically is more obese than underweight.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
So-
It's what things are targeted towards.
It's more
Yeah.
targeted towards cutting down that fat,
Yeah.
and rather than like trying to increase.
I mean, you
Wait.
take a look at American foods based on other countries. America's is disgusting.
I could go deal with this, but please keep talking about this food topic because I find it very interesting. So,
Let me get into
so
food
how
talk real
important
quick.
is food? As you said, it's really important. Me personally, I've been on a diet that's not very healthy. I eat like snacks here and there. I go to the third floor, like the all-you-can-eat buffet on college.
Third floor is a full bulk and a half if you eat enough. Yeah.
If you eat till you're full,
Yeah.
try not to because it's not healthy for you. At the end of the day, you're supposed to eat to like where you're like comfortable, and you're supposed to cut back on your like if you eat like a full plate, try to eat half of it. This and that. Like there's all these different things that you could do for eating.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very important to like try to like keep your plate up, like keep your plate like healthy because it'll make you feel better as a person.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people struggle with that, and I would say I'm like one of them that just can't find an in between because I'm always just busy with something, finding other tasks to do in life. I'm always just on side quests with Rob, especially Kapil tonight, potentially. But Justin, please go into your talk about food because I know this is a huge topic for you and you'd love to talk about it. And Jake can good like Brad.
I'm very, very passionate about food, as you can tell.
Wait, really?
Um,
I couldn't tell. I'm joking, bro. I'm joking.
but
I love you. Sorry.
as someone who cares about like going to the gym, but I should care a lot more about it. I'm very inconsistent. I'm not going to make myself seem like I'm the most consistent person, most athletic. I'm by far an outlier. I'm not as far as where Jake is. Jake is somebody who could completely wipe me in the gym, but
No,
I
I'd
think-
say you're in the norm for a normal American.
okay, bro.
That's from Kapil's talk about how all Americans are doing certain things.
Okay,
Most people
it's a
don't,
joke.
though. That's the thing.
What's that?
You think about how small gyms are and how few people go to the gym
yeah.
compared to think about the whole population.
Oh,
It's not huge, but it's like at least 200,000.
Yeah,
Think how
and
many people are
there's what 3 or 4 gyms in the area.
yeah.
that are known, that are big, like the bigger gyms.
Yeah, the
like 3 or
commercial-
4.
They're
Commercial
all
gyms.
relatively expensive as well, though.
Yeah,
Yes.
Unless you go like Planet, but that's not gonna really do much for you. I mean, it's not a.
You
bad
drop a
start.
weight too long,
Yeah.
too hard, and it goes. Woo, 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 they tackle you.
I know. I was looking at
I saw
like
that
Crunch.
video.
Crunch is like $15 to $20. That's kind of expensive. For
yeah.
someone who-
They have a lot of people that go to Crunch too.
Crunch. I know that Browns is expensive.
But so
Yeah.
this is
Browns is like 50.
Mhm.
this is how I feel about gyms. I know it seems very expensive,
Mhm.
but you sit there and if you really put together, I understand like a lot of people have different financial situations they are in. But if you really tally up the things that you buy over a course of a month, there's going to be so much junk and stuff that you shouldn't have bought. Like when you go to the store, I'm going to buy a thing of candy. Okay, like gummies. And you start to add it up and
Keep going.
it's like $5. Okay. Well, think about how many times you go to the store. Let's say I go to the store 5 times out the month. That's $25. Okay. You could already have bought a membership at someplace else.
Or a tank of gas.
Yeah. And it's just like the stuff that we buy in the moment is junk. And I just see that like, yeah, at first when you really look at like I'm spending $50 a month for a gym membership while being in college, like that's a lot of money. But I'm sitting there and it's just like in the long run, if I get something and like I buy it and it's a one-time purchase like on a game, it's just like it's only going to be good for that one time. And like the gym, it's kind of a thing that you have to keep going to, and you got to keep going to it to even see any sort of progress. And by far, like I'm not saying that I've ever seen progress for myself. I can't see it. I've had people say they've seen it, but I don't. And that's like kind of like a body dysmorphia type of feeling. So like I've dealt with that. But it's just like I tallied up the stuff that I've purchased in a month, and there's just like so much stuff where I'm like, I could have bought 5 memberships in a month. Like, are you kidding me? Like, why was I spending that money?
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's stupid stuff. So like when they're like, oh, your membership's up, I'm always complaining about it because I'm like, oh, it's $50, it's expensive. But if you really look at it, like why'd I spend the money for gummies at a gas station in the first place?
That's one thing. I'll have to take you to Sam's Club sometime. It's crazy.
You have a
Because-
Sam's membership?
Yeah, it's where I get my chickens.
You could use that for the house, man.
So if you go to Sam's Club, there's so many people there. It's packed every single time I go. And most of the people there, when they're walking out to the checkout lines, their carts are full. And I don't know how often they're shopping, but most of the time you'll see it's just packed with like boxes of chips, where it's like bags of chips, but just, 3,500 of them or something. Over exaggeration. But
Yeah, no,
there's like
that's a
so
lot of
many just
chips.
unhealthy stuff that people are getting because it's good deals and it's cheaper for you.
Yeah.
And
Is that why you wanted to take me?
no,
I'm joking.
just to see.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I can only imagine. Like, I remember during COVID, people were buying like toilet paper from like the institution I worked at, and they like when the snowstorm was happening. This was after COVID. They'd buy so much to made it look like that they were going to be in for like 2 months. So like I can only imagine how much junk food people are purchasing, especially at places like Sam's Club. Like, it's just, you got to look at like the actual things that are on the back, like the calories and all this, and it's just like it isn't healthy for you.
Well, before we get back into the food talk, I would just like to talk about our quick sponsor. It's for vacation. It's a vacations thing.
You want me to start? You know what?
Yes, please. I'm a little.
No, I get it. All right.
I appreciate you.
Yep. Hey guys, do you guys want to get away and go to the beach, preferably the Bahamas? Sorry. Getting a little cool up here because we are back in a wind chill. Feels like it's winter again. Rob, you could probably feel what it feels like to be in winter. You probably hate that feeling so much.
Yeah.
But if you guys want to get away, check out the sponsor that will be in the link in the description below, bookvacay.com. You can get nice deals on cruise, vacations, and just get away. And if you want to take your family, you could obviously take your family. I'm not advising you not to.
What's the link?
At bookvacay.com.
Thank you.
Take
Very
it from
simple.
me.
Yeah.
I'm going to Alaska in 3 weeks.
And you used.
Bookvacay.com.
All right. Just watch you don't hit that camera because it's going to.
You said no cuts throughout this whole podcast?
Yeah.
Oh, no, just for this one time out. Yeah, Rob is the cut machine.
Watch you don't put it on the cord. It's fine. It's not on the cord yet. Oh, now it is. All right. You want to shut the
man.
door?
The myth, the legend.
All right, you're good to go.
So I think like since we talked about work so much and how we pretty much just talked about basically the negative of working a 9 to 5, but also there's a lot of positive to the way technology has gone. And I think there's so many different ways that you can earn money. I mean, there's postings out there all over. You go on Instagram, Facebook, there's everything that there's so many people out there that post about ways you can make money online. And it's pretty much virtual to anyone. So that's like one thing that I feel like has come into effect recently in the past few years is there's a lot of ways that you could make money while being able to travel and do the things that you love.
Yeah.
I think he just.
I'd love to be
Yeah.
one of those
Hit the nail
people,
on
though.
the head.
I'd love to be one of those people that just travel the world, post videos, do something that's like for my job, of whatever it may be. I honestly, if I had to pick a job, it would be something to do medicine or skiing, either or. Because right now I'm in the field for studying medicine. If I get somewhere with that, I'd love to travel with it. Don't know what job that would be, but like traveling, posting it on TikTok, this, that, like just putting it out there, putting it to a platform like Barstool Scranton, just so say, like it's just like a huge platform. Like submit your videos to them, they post it for you. Like having like an outlet like that to have technology do stuff for you to like to fund your ambitions in life. Oh, it's a dream.
Yeah.
Fuck technology.
You're telling me you're not happy about the podcast and what it's doing for you?
Yeah, I'm happy that there's 3 cameras that pick up every word.
4.
And 4, sorry. Yep, no, I'm miscounting.
I love
That's
calling
great.
out, Rob.
Can I just say, you were talking about like your dream job.
Okay.
How about dream job? Be a poker star, like a poker pro. I'm sorry.
Loses so much money more than they.
Can I just say I saw a feel good story on the news the other day,
Let's hear it.
and it was there was a kid in like Idaho, and he was like he's sick or something. I don't think it's cancer, but I think it's something else. and he rode out to like his hero, and they couldn't get whoever this was. So they hired like a duplicate, like someone that was like could cosplay, just so that the actual person could come and like be like, this isn't me. Like, you wanted to see me, right? And it was just like I don't know, it was like a quick video. I didn't know who the celebrity was. It's not someone I know. Maybe it's like an Idaho. What's that? What Idahoan? What's the people? What do you call the people in Idaho? Like they're what? Exactly. You don't know. I don't know. Idaho people.
Idians?
Yeah, right. What?
Idahoans?
Idaho people, please let us know in the comments below, what do you want to be called?
Got,
Or
like,
what are you called? Not
Pennsylvanians.
what do you want?
Pennsylvanians, yeah. That's how it's
Pennsylvanians,
New Yorkers.
New Yorkers.
New Yorkers. It's kind of
Yeah.
Rangers.
Rangers won today.
Oh, not the sports talk.
Rangers won 4-3 in a shootout.
No, but
So what Jake said was basically,
Yeah.
I forget.
how do you feel?
I have really bad short.
I'm just saying, I mean, like-
memory.
Hi,
Yo.
Nemo.
There is a lot of negative that's happening in this world right now,
Thank you.
but there's also a lot of positive. There's a lot of opportunity that has opened up, and it's all up
Thank
to
you. Yes.
us
Yes.
to be able to take advantage of that and run with it.
Yeah, and to kind of add on to what he's saying, like even the things that seem impossible right now, like what we're doing, like we don't have a lot of viewers, we don't have a ton of people watching us, but that's not dictating what we're doing. Like I'm very happy with what we have.
This
If I
seemed
get
impossible once.
What?
This seemed impossible once.
Yeah, no.
Getting here.
Getting
was
here.
impossible.
Was
Yeah.
impossible.
So, like,
to get here
what
is
Jake just said and what we've all contributed to this, like don't let someone in high school or a friend or a family member or even your parents stop you from following your dream. And yeah, at first it's going to seem impossible. I'm far from successful. I'm going to always say that. Every podcast, maybe it'll get annoying once in a while, but
that
like
you're far from successful.
I'm very far from successful, but that's not going to ever stop me from striving for it.
and it shouldn't stop you.
Exactly.
Let's get preachy on you.
Nah.
If you have a dream,
No,
believe in that dream. Sorry. Had to break out in song.
Are you guys comfortable with kind of wrapping it?
Yeah.
I mean, I know Rob, you just
I don't prefer to rap it.
I'm
but,
fine
like,
with rapping it. I mean,
You like you
Wait.
prefer to rap it?
I prefer to rap it because sometimes, you're encountering someone that could be having some sort of disease that you don't want.
Oh my gosh.
That's where I was going.
Yeah.
Well, you asked me if you
All
want to
right.
rap it.
All right.
All right.
I want to say thank you guys for tuning in, and if you made it all the way to the point of right now, I just want to
You're
say
a
thank
G.
you. Yeah, you're a G. I want to say thank you to Rob, Jared, Jake especially.
Kapil.
Kapil, definitely.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, no.
Appreciate
Kapil,
you 110%.
he's
Thank you for
definitely
letting me have the mic for the end.
Yeah, no, Kapil is
Bro, I
definitely
wish.
one of the most heartfelt people out there right now, and he's definitely making this all possible.
Supportive,
Yes.
helpful,
And
creative, like helped us with so many ideas.
yeah,
Thank you.
so I just want to
Looking
let you
forward to the
guys know.
future.
Thank you so much. Let us know how we did in the comments below. Be sure to
Don't.
like and subscribe. Rob loves that. He loves seeing all your guys' comments.
I love reading the comments. Give it, feed the comments.
Flow it
On that
out.
note,
But yeah, I guess we'll see you guys next week, and peace out.
Wrap it up here.